Good evening and welcome to episode 5 of the Paper Flaps News Network Season 2. We're still going strong because the news never changes. Let's get right into it. College students have started demanding lowered tuition costs at universities on account of COVID-19 restrictions, reducing classroom times to almost nothing. Connor, a junior at Arizona State University, has actually already been petitioning to have his lowered costs backdated, as his classroom attendance has always been pretty much close to nothing. The survivor of a suicide bombing from 2 years ago in Kabul, Afghanistan, has just achieved the highest score out of 200,000 students on the country's national entrance exam. When asked about her concerns going into the test, she said, "I worked really hard to get to this point, studied many hours. I wasn't too concerned about bombing." In a very rare legal case, a couple in British Columbia has been granted an annulment, which is essentially the easiest way to get out of a marriage, considering that the court simply decides that the marriage never existed. The annulment wasn't for the usual reasons, however, like the couple was under the effects of drugs or alcohol when they got married, a spouse was actually under the age of 18, or a spouse was already married. This annulment was done because of impotence. Apparently, after trying for many months, the couple was never able to actually consummate the marriage, causing the wife to, let's say, be unsatisfied, and therefore pushing for the annulment. Fortunately, they didn't have to go back to the old ways of proving an annulment, where the couple would actually be required to attempt the act while under observation of a jury of family and medical professionals. A fact that local fundamentalists bemoan as progressivism gone wild, asking what kind of world do we live in where we don't verify with our own eyes that this guy really can't perform the deed. In more bad news, the first man to have ever been cured of HIV has now been diagnosed with terminal cancer. A French man says that he was unfairly fired from his job as a kindergarten teacher for his tattoos, saying that a child reported him as being quote-unquote too scary. Now, I personally have tattoos and have many friends with them, so I typically like to stand with people in this situation. However, I will admit that this is a pretty extreme example. The Tattoo Acceptance in the Workplace Coalition has begun petitioning for the expulsion of the child on the grounds that he is a, quote, little pansy, and that this is in fact what peak human performance actually looks like. The city of Berkeley has decided to be the first city in the United States to ban the sale of junk food at the checkout aisles of grocery stores, instead opting for Das Kapital, bike locks, and kerosene. A politician in Argentina has quit after kissing the breasts of his girlfriend during an online legislative session. Many of course thought that it was quite inappropriate, while others thought it seemed that he was simply trying to stay abreast of current events. Maybe even that his girlfriend had something to get off her chest. Regardless of your feelings on the matter, all in all, the politician ended up looking like a real boob. Hey! Closer to home, the first 2020 presidential debate is starting tonight. We asked our political analyst what the over-under was that an old, senile sex offender might win the debate tonight.
Nothing's actually been proven, but pretty much 100%.
Well, viewers, that concludes this episode of the Paper Flaps News Network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, please feel free to leave a comment letting me know your thoughts, or if you found a news story that you think I'd find interesting, let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to sharing more craziness with you next week on the next episode of the Paper Flaps News Network. So long and good night.